Warriors turnaround Tuesday. Let's take a look around and see what I've been talking about previously and what's lining up. So I want to start with Euro because 1780 was one of my numbers for a possible end to this rally, and we did get some action here. As I look at this 1 hour, though, I see two drives. Okay, I see one, I see two. It implies another one. If we get another high that follows through over the 1780 level, then I think that we'll probably go for these stops, which if this high has been in force since the 1st of July. So July, August, over 2 months of people trying to top pick this market, knowing that they're wrong if we make new highs over 1830. It kind of seems unlikely to me that we're going to top without taking out the shorts, or at least above this high. So we have two lower highs, and here we are. I'm not trading it today. There's some BLS news here, I think in about another 2 hours. And then we also have inflation news. So I'm just going to let the currencies, which are to me still a coin toss, develop a little bit more because if we start getting through 1780, 1830, we're going to 1980, which is, going to take the Dixie a lot lower. I pointed out in yesterday's stream that we had a confirmed low in the Dixie here. And on the 4 hour, we're still having a confirmed low. So I have no divergence on 4 hour. On the 1 hour, I do say that probably we'd have to close back above 97.60 to have some concerns, but it looks like we could still work lower. Everyone's bearish, and now they're getting more and more reinforcement. So it makes me a little bit nervous when I have a lot of company and almost everyone's looking for 95 on the Dixie now, looking for new lows. After last week, I am too. It's just a little hang day. There is some support right above the lower high based upon this wedge line. But to me, I think it's later on, later in the month, around the equinox, that we'll get a low. So I'm not going to try and bottom pick the dollar here today. I was short USD CAD, took partials, and the BE didn't quite get touched. BE was at, did we get there? Yeah, we took it out because I was short from 41 and took 30. So Canada, I'm flat and basically flat all the currencies. The yen was really the short from Sunday night on that gap higher opening. So my trade selection wasn't as good, selecting Canada for a short up here instead of the yen on the political resignation of the prime minister, which was here Sunday night. So you're always going to get more beta in the yen compared to almost every other currency lately. So the yen is where the big boys play. We have taken out these lows. I see no reason to buy it here. I've been talking about that I thought the yen could get towards this 145 level, maybe 144, finally trying to catch up with rates. But again, and I'm not afraid to say it, it's an I don't know the dollar. And I have a narrative for new lows that I'm uncomfortable with because I have a lot of company, but I still need technical reasons besides it being a crowded trade for me to fade the crowd. You still need reasons when there's a large crowd on one side of the boat to fade them. You can't fade them just because there are a lot of bulls and there are a lot of bears. You still need triggers. So, standing aside pretty much here in the currencies today, the other action I'm paying attention to is what's happening in gold because we're almost at this 3680 level. And what's interesting with gold leading the way, as expressed in the gold silver ratio, here's a pretty big move. In fact, on Maggie's show Friday, I talked about that we were due for a rally here. You know, this usually moves with the dollar, so this is somewhat supportive of the dollar, but I'm not going to do anything about that. But I would start paying attention to, and I still think there's a chance we're going to $42, but the euro is the silver is starting to diverge. Okay. So here's our first divergence all the way up from these confirmed highs on the breakout. And maybe we have two drives right here. I think even if we made a move up towards the upper 41s, that the RSI would not take out 70. And I don't think pretty much I'd bet that we're not going to take out this 82 reading. So I'm stalking this as well. You would think if the dollar is going to make a new low and trade towards 95, it would be more jet fuel for the metals, but tells me that I could wait for more than one divergence to develop here in silver because of all the momentum. But what's the expression? Long in the tooth. Well, this is a saber-toothed tiger then. They have pretty long teeth. Let's take a look at what's happening in risk. If you've been in the room, I've had a couple of successful scalps yesterday, 7 handles on a couple of trades, each trade, and I'm trying it here. Now, you know, I could very easily see new highs, you know, but this bounce off this big red candle, it's worth it for me to take a shot, which I'm doing today. Okay, I'm short from 505. I maybe could have taken 5 handles for partials. I didn't. I was busy. And I have stops over the high of the move. Okay. So, you know, if we're going to take this out, there's going to be divergence again, but I have to have something to limit my risk on this. Now, if we take out 64.75, that would be negative, but even more so would be Friday's low, which really tagged the wedge line that we went through temporarily last week after before the holiday. So we had this big down day. And now we're going to see if there's enough for it to push up to take out new highs or if we can make new lows. Let's take a look at a weekly because we haven't had a 2-week reversal in a while. And really, these ranges here are pretty tight and confined. And it looks to me like the off number this week is 64.64. So very doable. All you do is count back 2 closes from this week. You know, there's one, there's two, and that's it. So, but if by Friday we're under 64.68, that's going to be a 2-week reversal. So that's what I'm looking for. The first wedge line to be taken out, also coming in. Look at this, 64.60. So we start breaking this wedge line. I believe a correction's underway. Then the next level is going to be 350. And basically, you just take 200 handles, subtract it from 3.5, and you get 1.5, which is prior all-time highs right here. So this is my target. I have some moving averages here on the weekly. This is a 50, comes in just under 6,000, which kind of ties in with the daily. I believe it's the 200. Waiting for the moving averages to pop up here. Okay. Okay. So there you are. There's a 200 at 380 around these lows. Why not a retail? And here's, you know, 59.20. There's 59.90. Okay. So maybe that's what we're going to do is flush under a big round number like 6,000. we have to break down to make this more viable. But you remember the three P's, right? Probe with your stop, take partials, pull up your stop to BE, or at least tighten it up to have less risk to protect your remainder. Probe partials protect your profits, or at least have no risk on the trade or minimal risk. Like say you make five handles. You don't have to go BE if you want to just risk what you made. You could risk the five handles above where you got short. So we'll see if we get some type of um, resolution to what's happening here in S&Ps. Let me just update you on the commodity markets, mainly taking a look at nat gas, which is, you know, still trying to follow through, trying to cut through these moving averages that we have right there. There's your 50. It's done nothing wrong. I would consider it a great opportunity if it pulled back, did a fib retracement for it too. But perhaps we're just going to grind up towards a trend line at 340. So this is acting good. Grains are also energy related and they've been acting well. Corn's down a little bit. You got to buy breaks in these grains. And that's a 383. Had about a 50-cent move. So, buy some pullbacks here if you get them for $4. Beans, same thing. If we pull back towards $10, I'd be looking to buy the grains. And here's Nvidia. And Nvidia's been heavy. I talked about Nvidia up here, the divergences. I pointed it out. Um, they're trying to hold it, but look how we're under the 9 and the 50. It looks pretty vulnerable to me. Would have to probably get back over 73 and fill this gap to stabilize it. Otherwise, why not prior highs before April, which were, around 150, 155. And then how about some confluence with some moving averages that I have here, along with a speed line that comes in a little bit under 140. So that's what I'm seeing here today, guys. We're going to be patient on the dollar right now. And let's see if we could get a break in the S&P. Also, if we get a break in the S&P, I'm going to be very curious to see if it's outflows of dollars or they're coming in with dollar bids. So that's what I see right here. I'm answering all your questions and comments. I think someone wanted me to look at copper for them. The U.S. copper market kind of has like a chart that is broken, right? Since the tariffs, no tariffs, tariffs. Um, to me, it took the market away from me. I don't trade LME. I hear that looks completely different, but it's tough for me to have a comment on a market that was in a car wreck, the biggest range in 2 days in years. And all we're doing is after like a car wreck or a heart attack is just trying to stabilize from the shock. I'm suspecting you want to be a buyer in copper. Maybe you look at an ETF or some copper stocks instead of trying to trade this, since I don't know how liquid we are anymore. Probably wiped out a lot of guys. All the bears got taken out, then all the bulls got taken out. So that's my comment. And copper, I stand by that. I think you're going to get platinum cheaper. This looks like A, B, C for B, and now we're going to get a C wave, and the same for palladium, which people asked me to cover these two. I think you'll have a better opportunity to get long. Tomorrow, I'm with Julia DeClercq, who I caught on an interview with Maggie Lake, who talked about the U.S. being uninvestable. and she's talking a lot about AI and how it's affecting entry workers into the job market. So tune in. It'll be at 10:30 a.m. EST to hear me and Julia talk about what's happening market-wise and what's happening AI-wise to our world. So until then, don't just count your pips, count your blessings, and see you tomorrow. Adios.